In 3 words, the best stories.
I'm going to show you some of the best things going on right now.
The best stories
are authentic.
They are relevant.
thought-provoking.
Emotional is probably the first
The best
one for me.
stories are humorous,
Shareable.
They
I think
are
emotional.
entertaining.
They're unique.
I would
And
say
relevant.
inspiring,
Honest.
real
Colorful,
stories that are from today.
And they're emotional.
Those are some of the best stories.
Hello and welcome into the beautiful Sirius XM Studio at the Wynn Las Vegas. I'm Sky Muller. We have our crew running cameras and audio in the booth. We have the always reliable Seth Gillitzer out in the main lobby running the tag board graphics, everything you see behind us in the big wall, everything that we are overlaying. And last but not least, he's a visionary, inventor, content creator of media technologies, coordinating producer of live events technology for NBC Sports Bay Area and California. And it's a good intro, but nobody sums him up better than what his boss had to say. Let's listen in.
I want to give a special thanks, a shout out to Rusty West, who's the coordinating producer of live event technology for our group, and he's a bit of a mad scientist, and he dabbles in a lot of different things, large and small.
There we go. What a lead. And Rusty West, welcome to Storyteller, the mad scientist himself.
Thanks. Yeah. Anything John Slow can say about you is a good thing.
That's a big positive. And he's not, I mean, there's a lot of stuff to back that up, and we'll get into that a little more today. But before we get into everything you do on that side of it, I want to talk about your guest card here with the goggles. Your big border chasing the POW and stuff.
You know it always.
Oh, that's it. Where's your mountain of choice?
North Star.
North Star, okay.
Yeah.
How was the season? Pretty solid?
It was good. Yeah, got a lot of snow. Yeah, it was good. Late start, but all good.
And now we'll get into the chaos of live production in just a little bit. But first, we need to see the chaos on the mountain. And we've got a clip for this as well. And I believe this is Family Day on the slopes. And we've got a little helmet cam action. So
nice.
Let's get to the video and check this out on the slopes here. Look at this. I mean, narrate this a little bit for us.
That's his big sister that he takes out right there. And then this poor guy is going to just get him again.
That was a hit.
That was a hit.
That was a big layout.
Yeah. And he bounces.
So
you all right, bud?
That was your little boy there?
That's my guy, Waylon, yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
Was that a few years ago?
That was, so I think he was 3 there. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. That's, I mean, whole family loves to get out there and get on the mountains and just, he took some hits, though.
Yeah. No, he's a tough kid. Yeah.
All right, well, let's get into this, and we always like to start the show the same way, other than all the great content you just saw there, and that's all about highlighting the best stories. And so, in your opinion, Rusty, what's at like the DNA of the best stories and the best storytelling?
So, like, first I would say original, but I don't know. That's not always true because we've been telling the same stories for years and years, you know. So I think my first thought is definitely like, you know, find something that's original, but that might not be true. It might just be like a twist or something different, you know? And then I think that just most important is being authentic. I mean, people see right through you, you know? If you're bullshitting someone, there's no love there, you know?
That's the key.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I think. I think you follow those two, you know, it's cool to work off what other people have done in the past, you know? We've been, you know, what they say, they made like 5 movies and everyone's making the same movie now, you know? But you know, all the twists and everything, I think that's what makes a good story.
And then what's your story? How'd you get into this whole broadcast production world? How'd you become the mad scientist that you are?
Well, so I would say I fell into it, but I didn't really. I mean, I knew this is what I wanted to do. I mean, I was making backyard movies, you know, in elementary school, high school and everything, and just dorking out with my friends, doing all that stuff.
We don't have any of those to show.
No, I purposely didn't. Those are on VHSs at my parents' house, and they'll stay there. Yeah. But no, they, you know, always interested in TV. You know, my dad always loves telling the story, giving me a hard time of, you know, as a little kid, I'd be like, hey, are there kid shows on TV? He'd say, no, nothing's on right now. I'd say, well, can we watch the news? Like, that's how much of like a TV hound I was. And I guess it just kind of was like in my DNA just built. My family is all teachers, so I'm the black sheep in the family. Every single one's teachers, from grandparents to parents to my brother. So I went the TV route. got lucky like everyone, I went to Chico State. I got an internship, ironically, for my boss now. That was 22 years ago. Devin Fox and Sean Madison, working for them, and now we work together. So it's awesome. So fell into that, got the internship. It turned out that at the time, this company, Sport Vision, who invented the yellow line, they're like, hey, we need people. We picked up the ESPN contract. It was pretty new, it came out in 99. So we're talking like 2004 this happened. And they're like, I know a kid who will work for peanuts. So there I went, started drawing yellow lines for a career and kind of went that way. Got super interested in the new tech with all that stuff. And that's really how I fell into it,
The first down line, that's everything.
Yeah, man,
that's
it's iconic now.
That's a good way to get into it. We're going to keep going on your resume, but we're in Las Vegas, so we figure we bring out the roulette wheel. It's what we call resume roulette. So you've got a robust resume, a lot of different stops. So we'd be here for days if we went through all of them one by one. But we're going to throw up a virtual roulette wheel here. We're going to take it for a spin, and we're going to see what number it lands on. And whatever number it lands on is going to, I'll pick a stop from your career, and we'll go for it. Do you have a favorite number?
22.
22. It looks like a 23.
Oh, yeah,
just off of it. Just missed it. So let's go 23, all the way back to your first stop with NBC Sports. You were an associate producer. You just brought up Sport Vision, and you were running Stro Motion. Was that with Sport Vision as well there?
Yep.
What Stro Motion? What was that all about?
So that was cool tech for back in the day, for sure. Now, like, your phones can do it, but it's the one where it basically makes clones of everything while the video in the background stays.
Oh, yeah. I think we got a clip of the Stro Motion. We can throw up the Stro Motion clip, but you can keep going about it.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, they jumped on. Ironically, the Giants said, "Yep, that's it at the Olympics." So yeah, I was lucky enough to go to Beijing and do the Olympics there, but that was a couple years later. But yeah, this was a quick turnaround, creative storytelling as fast as you can. It's live TV. Nothing was as fast as it is now. Like, that effect you can do on your phone now, which is crazy, But back then it was, this big old rack and put it all together, and, you produced it yourself. It was great. And, I was a 23-year-old punk kid sitting on a card table outside of the truck because they had no room in the trucks for me, and selling to Jim and Jeff, still producing and directing Giants games.
That's amazing. Still selling to the same decades
guys.
later.
Yeah.
And was that like something sparked there where you're like, I kind of like this new innovative type stuff. I want to really take that as a route within the whole broadcast production world?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I was always the one, which your folks either love or hate. And I'm like, hey, what we should do is if we made the UI look like this, it might be a little more helpful. I was always
love that. We love that.
Yeah, and our guys were great. I mean, some of my best friends, Jim McGuffin, some of these guys that helped start Sport Vision, always wanted to pick my brain because they're way smarter than me. But then I just thought I think differently than them.
Yeah.
So it was like this great partnership we had for over a decade. And we just created really cool stuff.
And you're still creating really cool stuff. And we'll dive into the production playbook just so you can open that up and show us a little bit about everything you are creating. But I heard you, I think it was actually in the same talk that John had off the bat when he called you a mad scientist. He called it innovating around the margins or moving the needle on a budget is what I think I saw from a post by you. What are the biggest things that you look for when you're implementing new technologies?
So being nimble for sure. I mean, we're looking for folks Slow hates it when I say RSNing it, but it is what it is. I mean, we are not Sunday Night Football. We're a regional sports network, so our budget is lower than our national friends. So how can we? The beauty of now is everything's getting more affordable. So back 10, 15 years ago, you couldn't do the stuff we're doing today just because compute was too big, too expensive, and now folks like you guys are making stuff affordable to us to really push the envelope. The other good thing we have is we have quantity. We do a ton of games. So we're doing, over 1,000 games a year. Whereas, when I was on Fox NFL, we did 12, So good and bad with that is you're basically always running at all times, and you're always working, but it works well with vendors too, because we're doing a lot of quantity. So they can help bring that price down. But it's not necessarily all about price too. I think it's obviously that's what my boss Devin would say and Slow, but Slow gave me the best advice too. He's figure out how to make it work first, and then we'll figure out the budget later. So that's a really good. So that's how I operate now, which does drive my EP kind of nuts because she obviously really cares about the budget, as she should. But I appreciate Slow giving me that, because you can find stuff, and then there is ways to like massage and get creative and, you know, partner. But I think like having a partner that's really nimble and can be creative is definitely the way to do it. You know, hack isn't like a great word, but it is what it is. I mean, that is what we do, you know? But I think hack is like almost a bad word in this situation, because
innovate.
it's and that's exactly what Slow says too, you know? I mean, as you can tell, I respect the guy a lot. So I appreciate, you know, and that's his whole thing too. It's not RSNing it. It's technically innovating.
Big time. And we see a lot of, you know, new leagues, RSNs, like it's not always the top of the networks that are like pushing that innovation, right? Sometimes they're looking around to the top leagues, are looking at the new start leagues, maybe like, you know, big national networks are looking at the regional networks for all this innovation. So that's really awesome. You mentioned how often you're live and on air, and part of that playbook, when you have a broadcast down in Arizona, you have a broadcast in the Bay Area, you have a broadcast maybe in Philly, all at the same time. Like, how important are your efficiencies and your workflows in managing all that?
No, they have to be. And that's the most challenging thing of jumping on this side is one, you know, our prep obviously is way less, you know, working, you know, having done football, we have the whole week to prep, you know, this we're doing days, you know, and producers, directors, production crew are like amazing on how these, you know, they're creating these stories every day and making it interesting and innovative. And, you know, so props to the truck and the guys in the truck, the front bench and everyone behind doing all the work. When it comes to, you know, our side on the tech side, it's really tricky, because the hardest thing is we're in a different truck for every away game. And so, you know, when going to NAB and talking to people and I'm like, hey, I got this idea, can you do this? Everyone's like, oh, of course we can do that. And I say, okay, well, we're doing like 1,000 games, and half of those games are in a different truck. And of those trucks, you're talking 50 different trucks with 3 different truck companies. They're like, no, we can't do that. So that is the challenge for sure. We have a great partnership with Game Creek. We do all our home shows with them, and they're a great partner, great resource. We're doing the RAPS model. You know, everyone is now not sending as many people on the road, but we're still in trucks on the road, and we're still in different places. Just people are sitting in different areas around the country.
Brilliant. And you said thousands of shows even a year. So, I mean, you probably can't even put a number on the total number of productions you've been around, but I assume you've seen some stuff. There's got to be some live production stories. When you think of just like live production, getting innovative, but also the chaos that comes with it, what comes to mind?
So I have a family story.
There we go.
That in production. So my dad is diehard football fan, high school football coach for 30 years, you know, never misses any games. So in the old Sport Vision days, in the middle point, there was a time where we used to travel 2 folks to all the games, you know, prices then. So they cut one of those positions. So it was just a lead that went out and you get a local. It would usually be like a college kid or, you know, an intern or something like that. It's really, you know, to like hoof the camera around, help you do the basic setup, but you know where this is going. So I'm like, hey, Pops, you want to do this? So we do a Cal game. Aaron Rodgers is quarterback. Tedford's a coach. My dad's diehard Cal. So I'm like, I didn't give him the prep talk before. Like, hey, I mean, he's a professional, you know? I mean,
you would think so. But we kind of lose our professionalism sometime.
He lost everything. So long story short, I'm looking around. I'm in the truck. I'm like, where the hell's my dad, dude? I look down there. Cal's doing their walkthrough. My dad is standing next to Tedford, shoulder to shoulder with him, with his little digital camera, because he doesn't have a cell phone, taking pictures of everything. And I'm like, oh my God, he's going to get me fired. He comes up and I go, Pops, where you been? He's like, oh, I was, you know, just walking around and stuff. He's like, well, first off, did you know that the phones in the press booth can make long distance calls? I'm like, I know that. How do you know that? He's like, well, I called your cousin in Pittsburgh. Again, he doesn't have a cell phone. I'm like, Pops, you can't do that. But first off, where were you? And he's like, oh, just walking around. I'm like, I saw you on the field. He's like, how'd you see me? I'm like, we literally have 18 cameras pointing everywhere. He's like, no, don't worry. It was fine. I talked to Tedford. He asked me he asked me what I was doing down there. He's like, oh, I'm the yellow line guy. I got to make sure the undulation is correct for the defab to make sure that the perpendicular is right. And he's like, do you need us to get off the field? He's like, nah, you guys will be fine. I'll work around you. I'm like, Pops, you are absolutely going to kill me.
Dang.
So I still get like sweaty thinking about that story.
That could have been the end of it all.
That might have been it. Yeah.
That's incredible. I love that story. Maybe now you'll find a chance to bring the kids on or something like that, which we'll actually get to in a little bit. But first, I want to go into next gen leaders, and your role is all about discovering these next gen technologies, pushing innovation, as we've been talking about. now I don't know if you can actually talk about this, but earlier in the year you mentioned you had just wrapped up like a year-long project and it's out there. Are you able to share anything about that?
Yeah, love to. Yeah. So a year and a half. So I came in and I thought I was just going to kick the door down with this new job and create this digital media hub. You know, nothing new. People have had them before, but it's really hard, like we talked about on our trucks. So this was a year-long process, and the trick really was, how are we going to do this on all these different trucks, like I talked about earlier? You know, so we're on 50 trucks. How do we make this happen? Everyone I talked to at NDB is like, oh, of course we can do it. We'll just put a server. I'm like, no, we can't travel a server around, because the trick too is we're so quick. So we travel with the team. So we get in with the team. We have to leave with the team. So game ends. We got 20 minutes before we have to be on this. So that means getting all our melts out, packing up. Everything we bring needs to then go with us to get on the team bus, to get on the team plane to fly home. So there's no time for packing. You can't get, SOS out there, shipping stuff out. So there's no way. So we're like, how are we going to make this work? So we vetted out a couple different companies. We ended up going with Video Ship.
Okay.
Excellent company. And so so stoked on these guys. Canadian boys too, just like our friends from Fingerworks.
Yes.
They come from news. They've never done sports. I like that though, because they are like, you tell us what you want, whereas some other folks, didn't say, but I predict them being like, well, no, it's good enough for ESPN. It's good enough for you guys, because we did look at those folks, and they're great people too and do good stuff. But these guys were so nimble, like I talked about, and they're like, we'll do whatever you want. So long story short too, because I'll talk about this all day, this is absolutely a game changer from our end of what we're doing. Now, the big boys have been doing this for a while, but like this, an RSN has not been doing this, where as action happens and our EVSs are clipping, and call it Alt-Z, which normally saves it to your X drive, saves it to your drive, so then you have your melt at the end of the show.
Yeah.
They're Alt-Z, and it's just sitting there on a drive. Well, now we Alt-Z, we hit their server, we go straight to the cloud, no hardware on site currently. We're just using the X file. It goes up to the cloud, and so we're timing it. I'm like, well, this is going to take like 2 or 3 minutes to send these up. Less than 1 second.
Less than a second.
I mean, if you watch Silicon Valley, like the guys from on that show, that is these guys. Like it scientifically doesn't make sense how they're able to get this to the cloud as fast as they do.
Dang.
So as we're Alt-Zing, so you're like, well, who cares? That's not a big deal. No, it's an awesome deal, because as we're Alt-Zing in the truck, before our folks back home, pre and post, have to wait for the melt to get through. They can only take the game coverage. We send them 1 clean camera back, maybe 2. That's all they get. Now they get every single look of everything you want. So Clay shoots a 3 in the second that would never probably see the light of day. We're sending them 8 different looks of that are up there in 8 seconds and available to whoever needs it.
Dang.
Yeah, so total game changer.
Wow. And you've rolled it out now, and it's working?
We've done, and again, we jump on quick. So like, well, should we start right now? We're like, yeah, let's do it. So we've got like 36 games up there already, we launched it when I talked to you 2 weeks ago, I guess. Yeah.
And I mean, the time saving there is just like, have you even quantified it at all?
Well, it's hard to, because that was the big sell too, is how much is this going to save? Now, because before we all know the melt days, everyone's sitting around twiddling their thumbs, waiting for the melt to go down. Now that's done. We don't need to melt anymore. We are now, until we're like fully, checked it out.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it works. So yeah, you got the melt time. You've got, I think the value which you can't put on is really having content that you never had before. Specifically the folks back home. So social, digital, pre and post, like they never had this content this fast.
You told me a little bit about that with the tag board kind of value too, is you're now putting content on that it's not like you're saving time. You're just getting stuff on that you never would have got on before, right?
Oh, never. No, it was amazing. So we do it, I like telling the story so when we first found you guys, and we're going into this, Sean Madison, my mentor, my favorite guy ever, Sharks producer, I'm explaining, I'm like, hey, look what we have for this. He's like, I don't care about some guy in his mom's basement talking shit about the Sharks. I'm like, no, it's so much more than that. And he is all on board now and sees that too, like the value of it. So we have a host on that show. And so as she comes up with stories, sometimes mid-game, our technical producers, we're calling it now, which is operating your guys' platform, can pull up stuff as it happens live, outside the league. So you think about, baseball, then someone's throwing the perfect game. Like, how do we get that footage in our game now? We couldn't, it's a big lift to do that. Now we just go on their social page. It's already on there. We pull it down. We're showing that almost as it's live, which is like incredible,
With it, click, and it is like a breaking news source, and it turns into just like another graphic system.
Absolutely.
For you, right?
We totally use it as another graphic. Yeah. Because again, on the RSM budget, we have a system. Our shows don't have a font coordinator. So it literally is the operative font coordinator himself, he is working, and those guys are working hard.
Dang.
And then we have our, and then we have our bug box. They're doing their thing, but only so much you can do off of that, which is super powerful also. But so now we have a third graphics machine, which, we didn't, and RSN doesn't normally think about having a third graphics machine.
It's just totally so far outside of the budget window. It's
Yes.
not even in this like strategy.
It was never even a conversation. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's so cool.
And 100% is now,
Yeah.
I mean, so this day in history comes from you guys, so that's a deal that you could have done before, but you got to think of it before. You got to get your stuff down. You got to Photoshop it. It's, a big lift. Now it's just like Google in this day in history, find a post from someone. There it goes. You're good to go.
And as you now almost have a camera feed into every ballpark around the country as well.
Yeah.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Well, let's take a quick ride on the Timeline Time Machine. We're actually going to go back to the opening day of MLB season, and we're going to look at a post at awesome moment, start of the MLB season. Jenny Kavnar became the first woman in Major League Baseball to serve as the club's primary play-by-play announcer. So cool. And the reason I wanted to bring this up, though, was I saw your daughter got to sit in the booth and have this core memory. How was that as a dad to watch all that go down?
Oh, I mean, that was amazing. And so it's not funny. It's interesting that I told my wife, hey, here's what we're going to be. And she's like, that can't be right. This can't be the first female play-by-play announcer. I'm like, no, look it up. It is. It's crazy. So that was like, are you kidding me? That being said, here's my 9-year-old daughter. She gets it at 9. Now she's really going to get it at 18. So, of course, coming in the booth, she's big-eyed and, it's just, at the Coliseum. So it's cool, But I really think she got, so as they came in and authenticated, her headset, her notes, her badge, like everything. I mean, we're in there for that. And like, I could just see her eyes getting big. And Jenny is just the nicest person ever. And literally like tells Gianna, come on over, takes a picture with her. So, I mean, it was her day, but she knows. And on the ball, dream big is what she wrote. And so that is my daughter's prized possession. It's in a thing with the little baseball card, but instead of a card, we have a picture of the two of them. It's on her dresser. That'll be with her for life, So, I mean, to me, it was a really, really big deal having 2 daughters, particularly, but having her see that and knowing that she got that at 9 years old and she's really going to get it when she's 18.
When you said dream big, I got chills through my body. That's so special.
Yeah.
And then I saw a lot of the gear got sent to the Baseball Major League Hall of Fame. So that is, wow, what a just awesome moment.
Yeah.
But we like to close out the show every time with the same thing. It's the Storyteller shout out. Rusty, I mean, you're one of one in a lot of ways, but there are a lot of people like you who are just grinding out there, being innovators, doing cool stuff, great storytellers, and they're working in the dark so others can shine in the light is what I like to say. But who would you like to spotlight maybe or shout out some people that are doing awesome work?
So it's hard. I mean, there's so many, and in our trucks, there's so many, and, back in the office and at corporate. And I mean, these folks are grinding, but I want to go all the way back to the beginning and shout out to Chico State. So Chico State gets a stereotype of being the party school. They set me up for success from the beginning. Jen Meadows was my professor back there. They just came out with a giant studio. I mean, it's really, really important to focus on those kids too, because we're, anyone in this industry knows that we're lacking on people, and so they're just not coming in like they used to. So having that push at the college level, all these colleges are so good. I'm super proud of Chico State and the folks that they bring out. So, I mean, so you go to a Sharks game, you got our producer, Sean Madison, Chico, our directors, Chico, our ADs, Chico, our post-game producers, Chico. So Chico's coming in hot.
That is awesome. We got to get some Cougs in there. I'm a Washington State guy myself. Another notable party school. These party schools know how to make broadcasters.
That's right.
Maybe there's a connection there in some capacity. Who knows?
You know it.
Well, Rusty West, thank you so much for jumping on Storyteller, the mad scientist himself. You're doing awesome work, and we just appreciate the relationship, the partnership, and you being a great storyteller.
No, thank you. Thanks for everything. You guys are amazing.
Right on. Take care, everybody.